Please listen carefully.
I will say one very like underrated, not discussed enough benefit of this like working from home being sort of like under lockdown thing. I am constantly at the temperature that I would like to be at. Yeah. Like very sorry to every like skinny bitch in an office that was constantly cold. My ass was hot all of the fucking time, okay? And you guys can put on your blanket sweaters and you can live a better life. I can only take off so much in a professional setting. What's up, sisters? Welcome back to another episode of Everyone and Their Sister. My name is Christina.
I'm Natasha.
And I'm Stephanie.
And welcome to our second episode only of 2021. It feels like it could have been 90. This 1 week has lasted about 7 years. So everything is pretty much tracking. Weirdly enough, the years changing meant absolutely fucking nothing. But you know, it is what it is. Our episode this episode is going to be all about our most anticipated reads or watches of 2021. Not that like who still looks forward to things. I certainly don't know. Who has hope in their hearts, who has the ability to consider that like there's a future and things might happen in it. You know, who's to say? But this was a little bit of consistency. It felt perhaps comforting in these trying times to come back to this topic. But before we get into it too much, how are you guys doing? How's your week going with everything?
I've aged 10 years in this past 7 days.
It does, yeah, it definitely feels like I've aged. I think you guys probably witnessed a bit of this, but I definitely lost my mind last night. Like, might have actually lost it. I think it was just too much when Christina sent like the Olive Garden, Sean Hannity lost his pasta for life coupon. I absolutely cried. I was in tears. I'm getting tears right now, guys. Thinking about it. It's too much for me. I can't handle it. My mind it's gone. I don't know how I'm going to go from here. We can only live one day at a time now.
There's A+ TikToks constantly being created, about all these topics. And I've lost 3 hours a night just being like, oh, I'm going to keep going.
I will say, I think my favorite thing about an evening where Nat is like, oh, I think I lost my mind is like, even though the reason you were losing your mind is off of the back of, you know, just like a light attempted coup in the States, like MBD, not a huge deal. Like, it's not that, you know, it's not that deep. And then a series of truly absurd and wild events that would follow. But it's also like the energy is not that different from just like a regular Saturday night Nat that like maybe had a drink, maybe she took like an edible. She was like, it's cool. I'm having like a chill night. And then it's like 2:30 a.m. and we get like crying Snapchats from her.
Or she
about
ate
how much she loves us.
Or I ate, oh damn.
Without any lactate.
And didn't take her lactose pills.
Chaos.
It was nice to lose my mind because of not me.
I mean, that's fair. I also think I think I'm losing my mind yesterday. So we're all on the same level.
There's only like, you can't read the sentence. Olive Garden has revoked Sean Hannity's lifetime pasta pass without losing your mind a little bit, you know?
Did we find out that was fake?
No, that is real.
Is it? I saw that it was fake. I need someone to confirm.
Like, did they send it out in like an email? Is it like on their website?
I think someone made it up.
I didn't even bother to check, honestly, because I was like, I believe this so fully.
Hold on, let me check. I'm not gonna lie, thought it was real.
No, Olive Garden did not revoke his lifetime.
Damn it!
I need to know that.
You know what makes me sad about that? One, it was hilarious. It was just true. Two, I waffle back and forth on Olive Garden between like the food is garbage. Truly, it's absolutely terrible. But it also gets ragged on more than it probably deserves, considering like we don't really have Olive Gardens here, but we have Eastside Mario's. And I'm like, sometimes you just need endless pasta for $12. Okay. Sometimes that's your Wednesday night. Okay. Happy hour drinks, $3. Like, that's just the world you're living in. So like I feel like it gets ragged on a little bit. So I was willing to be like, I support the OG yesterday, and then to find out that they did not revoke Sean Hannity's lifetime foster pass.
I'm so sad about it. I didn't want to know the truth. I'm mad now.
I'm sorry. Have I told you guys the time that I made my friend laugh so hard at Eastside Mares that she puked on the table? And then the waitress cleaned it up with napkins, thinking it was just spilled water, or like
you didn't
and then
tell her?
we were like, what, in middle school? We were shy. I'm like, no. She took it away. I cried laughing.
I really hope you guys tipped her well.
I couldn't tell you because I don't remember any. I don't remember how old I was. I'm sorry.
This week is just a fever dream. I don't even know what the recording is going to be like. Like, what is happening? Who is what is where? Will we live long enough to read or watch any of the things we're going to talk about today? Whom's to say?
I don't know.
Nothing is guaranteed. But I think on that note, let's roll into it. Steph, assuming we live to see tomorrow, what is your most anticipated thing of 2021?
I was like hoping I could pick a TV show, but then I was like, there was no filming going on last year, so what big TV shows would I know that would be coming out? So I couldn't pick that, because I think I would have said Bridgerton season 2, but that's not going to happen for a while. Then I was like, why is Sarah J. Maas coming to my head? Full of shame, number one, that would come first up into my brain, because it's the long-awaited story about Cassian and Nesta. This is why TikTok has infiltrated my brain, because somehow I'm on Book Talk and that's all they talk about is this supposed romance coming soon. But no, I'm not going to pick that because I don't think I'll ever come back from that, from the shame. But I was scrolling through Twitter yesterday and I saw the cover for So Many Beginnings, a Little Women remix, which is about 4 young Black sisters come of age during the American Civil War, a warm and powerful YA remix of the classic novel Little Women by national bestselling author Bethany C. Morrow. And she had just written, I think it came out last year, A Song Below Water. Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. I read it.
So that's what I'm interested in. For some reason, I'm really into Little Women and I need more. And that's all I got to say because that's all I know. Oh, I can give the descriptions. I can give this. So Meg, a teacher who longs to find love and start a family of her own. Shocker. Joe, a writer whose words are too powerful to be contained. Shocker. Shock again. Beth, a talented seamstress searching for a higher purpose. Amy, a dancer eager to explore life outside her family's home. Color me intrigued.
Wondering if this like following like the Greta movie or whatever, if this is going to be exploring more of like a race relations type of thing or no, or if it's just going to be like a fantasy world where everything's fine.
I don't think so, because it's Black people have begun building a community of their own, a refuge from the shadow of the old life. So I'm assuming we're going to have more exploration, deeper explorations of race in America. Also, I don't read a lot about American Civil War. So relevant today. Who'd have thought?
I highly recommend anyone listening go check out this cover, because I do think, you know what? All of the illustrated romance covers are so cute, and I get that it's a lot better for a lot of like POC and like Black romances and queer romances when they're illustrated, because then it's not like trying to find some stock photo that doesn't exist of 2 people that look like what you've written in the book. I love that the cover for this book is for actual women. I love that there was clearly a photo shoot for it, and the cover, just like the outfits, like I genuinely don't care for the like costuming of that period of time in America, but this one with the hair and like everything, I loved it so much. I love that cover. It stopped me in my tracks as I was going through Twitter. I was super into it.
I like that it's a remix. Like I haven't seen anything called a remix in a while, or if at all. Maybe I'm just like slow on the YA. I don't know. I haven't read YA in a while. Yeah, but it comes September 7th comes out. Transcendent cover, the author says, and I agree.
That's a long ass wait. September, damn.
I didn't know it was so long.
I know she was trying to do her cover reveal like the day the Capitol got stormed, and she was like, Of course it would happen the day of my cover reveal, and I was like, oh, Bethany. We'll still give it all the attention and love.
Yeah, I'm pumped. Can't wait.
Oh, I will also quickly jump into, I recommend also following the author's Twitter.
Yeah.
It's a good Twitter. It's a good Twitter feed. Bethany Morrow, right?
Yeah, Bethany C. Morrow.
I get everyone's name wrong because every single time someone on Twitter changes their display name, I'm like, who is this?
Oh, yeah.
And like sometimes it'll just be for Halloween, but I'm like, I don't know people enough. Like, just keep, as long as everybody's icon is the same all the time. I say, even though the Eats icon just changed regularly, like, oof, I'm out of my depth. I'm old now and I don't have a memory. But Nat, have you pulled up your stuff?
I have pulled up my stuff. I really didn't need to pull it up because like when we first thought of this topic, I was like, well, there's only one book I've been thinking about for 2021. I can't think beyond this book. It's the only one I care about. Comes out June 1st, by the way, for everybody interested. It's called The Other Black Girl by Zakiya Harris. Zakiya used to be like a publishing professional, so like this was like a big deal when it came out in like the publishing industry that her book was bought. She sold this book, by the way, for 6 figures, which I was just like, that's crazy, especially for like a Black author. Like it's almost unheard of. The book initially was marketed as Get Out meets Younger, or as Christina was arguing, better to say Get Out meets The Devil Wears Prada, even though it's in the publishing industry, but whatever.
It says, when I looked it up, it said meets Devil Wears Prada, and I was like, oh my god, I'm into this. Add it to my to-read list immediately. You then said Younger, and listen, I understand exactly why someone would say Younger, but for the quality that I'm already assuming this book will bring, 100% Devil Wears Prada. This is not what this is about, but one day I will bitch about Younger on this show.
Anyway, so for those who don't already know or haven't already heard about this book and like know everything about it, it is described as a cheeky blend of horror and suspense and cultural commentary, which we obviously expect because of the Get Out comparison. It's about a young Black assistant at a publishing house who is initially excited, but then is kind of like thrown off when another young Black colleague joins the publishing team. And so like the novel itself puts an uncomfortable spotlight on microaggressions and racism that many people of color say continue to be a staple of the publishing industry, which I talk about a lot, probably not on this podcast. I don't know if we've talked about it because all 3 of us have been in the publishing industry at some point.
You're free to say anything now. Is that?
I don't know.
I am free to say anything now. I don't work in the publishing industry anymore.
I've never been the one to say I'm not going to say things I didn't like about a book because I work in publishing.
I'm always like, indie publishing is there, people. It's the better option.
I basically, like, not to like make this about who I used to work for, but I basically worked for Evil Corp, and so I know.
Did they make you sign an NDA? Are you free to talk as you would like?
They did not make me sign an NDA,
All
but
right.
They did send out stuff about like socials and like what I'm allowed to say and what I'm not allowed to say as an employee. No longer an employee. I can say whatever the fuck I want.
I will say they almost definitely made you sign an NDA when you started.
Oh yeah, when I started.
That's not about complaining. That's just about trade secrets. So
That's true. I won't say no. You know what? Whatever. It's fine. Yeah. So I complain about the publishing industry a lot because I am passionate about it. And I think what's like really interesting about this story is it obviously is very much based in Zakiya's own life because she was a publishing assistant, and as she like grew in her job and whatnot, she just kind of like didn't feel a connection in her job and was like, I don't know if I want to be working on books or if I want to be writing the books. So she left her job eventually, but I thought it was really funny when she talks about like how she came up with the idea, and it was like she was in the washroom or something at, so she used to work at Penguin Random House, and she was like in the washroom washing her hands, and she saw another Black girl come out of a stall and was just like thrown. And she's just like, who is this woman? Why don't I know her? And I was just like, what's happening? Why? And then she was just like, why am I so thrown off by this? And then she's like, oh, it's because of like the way this industry has made us. Like, we literally know every other person of color at the industry, like in our own company. Not even just like the industry. Sometimes it can be a little bigger, but like it's a very like close-knit community. Like, I usually know people at another company that are people of color, unless they're like new employees that I wouldn't have met along the way. But that's how tight the industry is. And she's talking about like how like the weird feeling of that made her feel and like how disconcerting it was. And obviously this is where the cultural commentary part comes in, but just like loved every bit of that and just like the imagining her reaction to that. But she said that like it was a really positive experience because, so this is like really important to know, if you've been on the internet recently, like anytime during the summer even, there was a huge movement of like hashtag publishing paid me. And it was like all about the advances that authors get. And what was like really important about that was people were arguing that white authors got more because there was more of like a precedent for like the topic or genres of their books, which is some kind of fucking bullshit. Like the fact that like even like authors of color were arguing for that, I was like, no, you can make it work. And like the thing about this book is there was no precedent for this book. Like the comparisons are for like a TV show and 2 movies and stuff like that. So like there wasn't like another book to compare to for this book. What they did to like what I believe the agent did to argue like the interest for this book and like get all these, like she got like 14 offers on this book, by the way. So like it was like a huge deal. I know. A huge deal. The thing was, the American Dirt scandal happened right before this book got bought. Right? So the precedent was there was enough of a reaction in the public to American Dirt that it could be a case of interest for this book. They used that to sell this book for 6 figures. And I was like, if they can do that, you can do that with any other fucking book that doesn't have quote unquote a precedent. And that's why I love the story of this book, just like how it was bought, everything about this book. Fascinating.
Yeah. Well, since she worked in publishing, usually when you read a publishing book, you're like, that's not how that works. So I'm excited to see her representation of it.
So it's like, that's why it's like really exciting to see like from her perspective, because you know it's going to be realer than like other publishing professional books. Because like I've read other publishing people write about publishing and it's like, no, but you were like at the top, so you didn't really do the work. So you don't know what it's like.
I feel like that's also a good reason to say, like, I'm going to say Younger, not a good comp, because Younger also clearly does not know how publishing fucking works.
I'm always interested when people write books about publishing and I'm like, didn't the editor tell you like that's not how it works, but you let it slide? Like, I'm always curious how that works.
Okay, let's be real. Editors that are like actual editors don't really know how publishing works either. I'm allowed to say these things now.
But I also feel like it's probably like in TV shows too, where like writers don't always write what writing is actually like. It's like you romanticize your own thing. And it's like, bruh, nobody wants this. Just say it like it is. So I'm excited to read this. I also, when I was reading the description, it's funny you say that there's no comp, because the description immediately reminded me of When No One Is Watching, but that also only just came out last year. And that was that was such a good thriller book where like the premise is like, it's got a very classic thriller vibe to it, of like an invasion kind of aspect to it, but it's really about like gentrification in New York. And it just takes this turn that is like wildly unexpected, but so well done. And I like that one just got me like taking the classic thriller, but just layering on different perspectives that you haven't seen in the horror and thriller genre that much before, because publishing has not published those books. It was so good. It was easily one of the best thriller reads I've read in a while. So I'm super excited for this one. I added it to my to-read list immediately.
There's like something about it. Like we saw it in Get Out too. Like all of it, yeah, sure, it's kind of like creepy and whatever. But as soon as a cop walks in, everybody's like,
everyone gasps.
Something so chill. Like I think we talked about this with like something that wasn't even about like a cop. What was it? I think it might have been a TV show, but like a cop walks into the scene and there's like one black dude and like everybody's just like tense that whole moment. Even though it wasn't about that, it definitely was about that. Like it like just somehow like it became, you're just like, no, I can't watch this if something crazy happens. Always chilling. But also, if you can check out this cover, it is beautiful. Both the UK and US versions, they're gorgeous. I can't wait to have it on my shelf. I should pre-order it now, since it's probably available to pre-order. Everybody should pre-order it.
When is the release date?
June 1st. And Christina, what's your most anticipated?
All right. So I am going to break my own rules in this one. And I'm going to start off with a little bit of a shout out for most anticipated. And the reason why I didn't pick this as my actual most anticipated pick is twofold. One, it's a TV show, and you can anticipate a TV show to actually be released in 2021. Like, very reasonably, there's no reason to believe that anything even being edited right now might actually come out this year. So it's like very up in the air. So I don't feel like it's a good pick. But also, I'm very sad to say it's a Ryan Murphy release. And as somebody who has watched so many Ryan Murphy shows and movies now at this point in my life, at this point, I can only classify it as like a type of self-harm. Like, I need some kind of like hotline, some kind of like 1-800 number to help me through this, because every time and at this point it's sad because now I go into it knowing I'm not going to be happy, but I still go into it. Hollywood, Ratchet, every single thing he does, even stuff that I don't know that he's done, they're like, oh, we're making this musical. And I'm like, oh, I want to see that. And then I find out it's a Ryan Murphy production. I'm like, here we are again in this life. And this fucking year, the next American Crime Story was set to come out, which is American Crime Story Impeachment. And arguably, American Crime Story is probably the best of all of his series. And that's likely because, one, it's an anthology. And two, again, very limited number of seasons. This is only going to be its third season, and I think that's why it's good. If this was season 7 of American Crime Story, I don't think we would be having this conversation. But the assassination of Giovanni Versace was quite good, so I'm still excited for this. But I'm excited for this one for the specific reason that it's called Impeachment, and it's about the impeachment of Bill Clinton. And specifically, they got Monica Lewinsky to come on as a producer. And I love the energy of this so much that she, has gone from basically being a punchline and a joke. Like, what happened to her was horrible, but but media and like largely people did not have the language or the empathy to be able to say anything about her except to make her punchline of a joke or to turn her into the aggressor and him the victim. So now, years later, her coming out and being like, oh, you know how people kind of like forget that you were impeached? You know, people kind of like look back on you fondly. Yeah, guess what? We're going to 2021 you, and we're going to make a show about all the things you did. And we're going to really highlight how you were the president and I was an intern. And that's fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that for her. And I love it for everybody who gets to watch it, because I love the idea that like anyone who's ever been on the hands of somebody like honestly predatory and manipulative, you can be responsible for the story that gets told at the end of the day. Yeah. Love this energy. Yeah. But it's Ryan Murphy. And also it's a TV show for this year. So like, who's to say what's going to happen with that? But highly recommend, keep an eye out for it in 2025.
Did they cast anyone?
There is some cast. Sarah Paulson obviously is going to be in it.
Yeah.
They cast Beanie Feldstein, who is she's one of the duo from Booksmart.
Who is she going to play?
Monica Lewinsky.
Oh my god, yeah. a baby Lewinsky.
Well,
oh my god, I'm going to feel so bad for her.
As you should. She was a 20-year-old intern when this happened. This is why I'm excited for this when it eventually comes out, y'all. So yeah, a lot of it, they actually were filming and then they stopped.
If also people should really follow Monica Lewinsky on socials too. She's fucking hilarious and she like responds to trolls as well. Also I was gonna say, I realize probably American Crime Story does really well because it's based in true stories. So you can't go that wild.
And like he even picked some of the most wild stories.
Yeah, but like he has to be limited in his wildness.
I feel like Ryan Murphy shows always have a really great premise, and then that's where it falls apart. Like,
yeah,
what was the sorority one? Scream Queens. That was great premise. Oh, yeah. Love that.
It was good for like a whole season, and then it was just like, bye.
I got confused about what it wanted to do.
This is how he hurts me every single time, because even before I know it's a Ryan Murphy show, it's a show that I'm interested in. And then he has the audacity to put his name on it, and I'm like, God damn it. Ratchet, I'll never get over, because wow, that really sucked. Like, that was such a way to like write a check you really could not fulfill with that one, particularly given the like cast that you had. Maybe I have just picked this show at this point. Like, I was going to talk about a book, but like I feel like I've just picked this show basically, but it also, if you haven't had a chance, honestly, watch The Assassination of Giovanni Versace. Like, I still think back to, I was a fan of Darren Criss when that show came out. Like, I already liked him because I liked him from Glee and I liked him from the Potter musical. Like, I liked him from a lot of things. I just thought he was like a dumb little nerd and I enjoyed him. But never had I ever been like, oh, this man is an actor. I was like, this is just like a goofy boy playing variations of himself, and I love him. And then in The Assassination of Giovanni Versace, he genuinely, like, he came for that role. He did a great job. And I was like, oh, am I maybe like justified in my liking of you because you're like, is that what's happening here? It was very surprising. It's normally the other way around. You find out things like that.
It's always interesting to me who he picks to continue on in his stories. Like, I'm like, there's clearly his favorites of who he's like worked with and enjoyed working with in the past, and then he brings them each back. So then I'm like, who didn't he bring forward? Though I'm looking at you.
Darren Criss, though, was also a really special case because, I mean, I do think that he liked Darren Criss because on Glee, Darren Criss was a fucking moneymaker. Like, once there was a reason they ruined that show, and it was because if they kept making Darren Criss make music, they were going to keep fucking cashing in on those songs. So they ruined I could go on this forever. They ruined whole storylines because of this, okay? But I don't actually know if he would have kept going with him if it wasn't for the fact that the person that murders Giovanni Versace, the way that he looks so much like Darren Criss.
Yeah.
The way that they are, like, they look so similar. And even Darren Criss talking about how, like, he appreciated being able to play a role, even though it was of a murderer, somebody who was also half Filipino.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then possibly one of the reasons they look very similar is like also their background is very similar as well. So like he really appreciated being able to play outside him. And then the next role that he's cast in with Ryan Murphy is Hollywood, where he specifically is once again a half Asian, but white passing like film director. And like his role in that show is specifically navigating that. Like, I don't know if Darren Criss is in Hollywood if Darren Criss didn't look exactly like the dude that killed Versace.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, my favorite Ryan Murphy is American Horror Story Coven. To this day, I'm like, that's my favorite thing you've ever done because I haven't watched anything else. The Politician that came out 2 years ago was shit. I'm pissed about that still because it had everything there. Why was season 1 a prologue? Can someone tell me? Like, I didn't need that one season.
That's honestly probably his, I don't want to say his worst.
I would say it's worse.
The Normal Heart.
Okay, I don't know what that is, so yeah, that's it.
The Normal Heart, and that's different from The New Normal, which I believe he was in charge of both of them. The New Normal was a TV show with Andrew Ronalds about like a gay couple who adopts a baby, I think. The Normal Heart was based on a true story about the fight, like basically gay life in like the 80s, and as like the AIDS epidemic was sort of ramping up and like protesting and that kind of stuff. But Mark Ruffalo is the lead, and I do not understand any of the decisions Mark Ruffalo made in that movie. Like I said, self-harm, but I will absolutely be watching Impeachment, and I recommend both of the American Crime Story ones. The casting is always very surprising, but genuinely very like it really works out. It's definitely his best series of them all for sure.
Yeah. Even the OJ one was good.
That one was well good. And again, that one was a very surprising one of not really expecting anything, and then when you first hear the cast, like, I can't remember, is it, it's the guy from Friends, David Schwimmer?
Oh yeah, David Schwimmer as Kardashian.
That was always one where you're like, what the fuck? But when you're watching it, you're like, oh, you were the right choice for this. Okay.
He also looks kind of like him. So like the whole time I was just like, damn, okay.
What I think is really funny too is a lot of people think American Crime Story is canceled because it's a really long time between different seasons. And this man has said, Ryan Murphy, violence chooser that he is, has said that he really wants to make a season, and I can't remember what the crime is, but it is somehow related to the weather. And he's like, so I literally cannot film that season until I can film it at the exact right time of year where the weather is perfect for me to be able to film this particular crime. And I just want to say, Ryan Murphy, have you watched any of your other stuff? Why is this the hill you're willing to die on, sir? I do not understand.
Also, doesn't he always film in like California anyway? And it's like, it's only one weather there?
I have genuinely no idea. I can't remember what it is. To be fair, when he says it, I'm like, I get like why you think that, but surely you could fake this. You know what I mean? But I have to find out which crime it was again. I think it was some like environmental thing.
The weather, so like maybe snow?
Yeah, but like you can just fake snow. Like you fake snow in everything. They don't even have real snow in Christmas movies. Like why the fuck would you wait?
Maybe it's not good enough.
Oh. Based on the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, the crime was going to be about basically like what the government did.
Oh,
and did not do rather.
So he's waiting for a hurricane?
I don't know, man. He was like, the weather needs to be right.
Maybe even like political climate weather or some shit.
Oh no. The man means weather.
Oh, literal
the man
rain. Okay.
Weather. And like there's an element there of like they have to be able to film at the right time of year. So he has to be able to get all his faves ready to go.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah.
This is the story the man's trying to tell, okay? And when you hear that story, do you not think, yeah, I want Ryan Murphy telling that? If Monica Lewinsky was not involved in this season, I would never watch this. Actually, that's a lie. I probably would end up watching it because, again, he pulls me in.
Who's playing Bill Clinton?
I think it's Clive Owen. I could be wrong, but I think that's who he's cast as.
I don't know. Sorry, what?
Yeah, I like I said, I could be wrong. He could be cast as somebody else, but I know he's been cast for this, and I'm pretty sure
he's a very charmingly handsome-looking man. So, like, I get it, but like, wild.
And I think Sarah Paulson must be Clinton then.
Like Hillary? Oh, I buy that. She's 100% a Hillary.
Yeah.
She's a Hillary.
But we're already talking about Meryl Streep playing I forget her name, Nancy Pelosi in the eventual movie that will come out 2 years from now about the events that took place this week. And I'd like to say you're incorrect, Christine Baranski.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
1000%. Like, don't get me wrong, Meryl could do it. Meryl can do anything. But why would you not get Christine Baranski? Because honestly, Ryan Murphy is going to be the one that ends up making that fucking movie. So you might as well get Christine Baranski and then we can go balls to the wall.
American Crime Story season 7.
Ooh, season 1.
I'm like so excited Beanie Feldstein is Monica Lewinsky. Like
I know. I think it's kind of perfect too.
I'm excited to see that. Also, Beanie Feldstein she's like a delight. I feel like after Booksmart, I was just super into those two. So I'm excited about that. I do want to give a quick shout out. The book I was going to pick was One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. We got so into American Crime Story. I'm glad, you know what, at the end of the day, I'm always going to be, I'm glad we've talked about that, but I do want to say One Last Stop, which is, it's not a sequel, but Casey McQuiston is the author of Red, White, and Royal Blue, which I think is a fantastic romance book, which I have in recent history fought to tell people is a good romance book when they disagreed with me. And I was like, here's why you're emphatically incorrect in that opinion. I think that's a great one. This is her follow-up book. It's another queer romance, but this time it's with two women. It's got a time slip element. It takes place almost entirely in a New York subway. I had a chance to read it this year and I just never really got around. Like, I just didn't get a chance to like sit down and actually read it through NetGalley. So I'm actually perfectly fine to physically go out, purchase well, not physically, but you know what I mean? Purchase an actual copy of this book when it releases in May, which I believe it's May 1st or May 6th of this year. So look it up at the beginning of May.
I think she argued that it said online it was May, but it's actually June 1st.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was weird. Actually, you know what? I do actually vaguely remember that happening. So June 1st, pick up One Last Stop and also The Other Black Girl.
Yeah, same day. Pick them up together because they're both going to be fantastic. I actually did read One Last Stop and it is really, really good. It's really well. I feel like it's much longer than Red, White, and Royal Blue, but I could be wrong.
I will say Red, White, and Royal Blue actually longer than you think it is because when you read it, it reads very quickly if you have taste.
I've said Red, White, and Royal Blue I thought was too long.
You're wrong.
One last stop, though, really funny. I think you guys know this. When I started reading it, I didn't know it was a time slip because I don't like reading the description of books, apparently, before I start reading them. So I went in and I was like, what is happening? Like, I lost my mind.
I find this hilarious because, like, I won't watch a trailer, which I understand. The idea that your version of that is you won't read the book description, but you will watch a trailer. Wow, to me.
I know. I can't help it. With trailers, they're just like so short. I could just, I mean, I guess book descriptions
A
are
book
also short.
description is 2 paragraphs.
Well, I do both, so there we are.
All right, thank you guys so much for joining us for another episode. As a reminder, my pick for my most anticipated of 2021, which might actually end up coming out in 2022, is Impeachment: An American Crime Story.
Mine was The Other Black Girl by Zakiya Harris.
And mine was So Many Beginnings, a Little Women remix by Bethany C. Morrow.
Woo.
Thanks so much for listening. You can let us know, what books are you super interested for this year? Are you interested in anything this year? Like, do you still have the ability to feel joy and hope and anticipation? Please let us know on both our Twitter and our Instagram at EatsCast. You can also follow us on Pinterest at Everyone and Their Sister Pod. I'm on Twitter all the time now, just constantly doom scrolling. So please engage with us there so I can talk about something that isn't horrible.
Yeah, I was going to say, tell us what brings you joy.
Yes. Oh my God, please. Please. To know joy would be it's just an emotion I just forget, guys. I just don't remember it at all. Thanks so much for listening. That's everything from us. Bye.
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 What's the music? I can't. Buh.
Music credits by Parabel.
Excuse me, and Jazzahar. Please listen carefully.
It's like.
But does he still get the breadsticks?